Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Mac Show. Today, we are going to have a little bit of fun, so don't take it too seriously, and certainly don't get your panties in a knot about it, okay? So we're just going to have some fun. We're going to talk about it, have a few laughs, and then we'll take it from there. But either way, let's get right into the story. So Monday, I'm doing XNC with Colt Eastwood, right? And this guy from Microsoft, high up, by the way, in Microsoft, very high up, not at Microsoft, excuse me, Xbox Game Studios. And he messages me. We have a ton of people from Microsoft listen to the show, as well as people from third-party developers and from Sony as well listen to our show. Anyways, he's messaging me because Colt and I are talking about Project Magnus, the new Xbox console, right? And so he's messaging me. I see my phone lighting up at the same time. By the way, Project Magnus, I think we should just call it Magnus. Or maybe we could call the new console Magnificent. I think these are all great names. Microsoft, I think you got to roll with that one. But anyways, he's messaging me and he goes, you guys want to hear something funny? He says, say it on the air and see what people think about it. I said, okay, what are you going to tell me? So he says, the name being passed around the office. And he goes, and it's the only one that's been passed around right now for the new Xbox is Xbox X to the power of 2. And I'm like, how would you even say that? He goes, phonetically, you would say, so I'm already laughing, Xbox squared. And I'm like, are you kidding? X2 actually sounds kind of cool if you just like have it as X2 or whatever. That's pretty cool. And he's like, but phonetically they would call it Xbox squared? Utterly ridiculous. There is absolutely no way. So I messaged him back. I'm like, dude, there's absolutely no way they're going to be calling it that. He goes, they're not going to call it that right yet. It's obviously not set in stone. He goes, but it was a name that was passed around the office. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then, of course, we had a couple laughs about it. I mentioned it in the chat during the live show. I talked about it and I read it out loud. I said, it'll be called the name that they're proposing is X2, but phonetically, it's going to be called Xbox squared. The chat had a riot about it. They were laughing, making jokes, this and that. And so you know what they did do? In a matter of minutes, they rhymed off about 400 different varieties of different Xbox names for the new console. And then, of course, they continued that the next night when I did Madcast, same thing. So that spawned an idea in my head. And I said, you know what? I got a solution to this. First of all, we all know that Xbox marketing is not very good. That's about as kind as I'm going to get with that. Not very good. I mean, that latest commercial they did, that ridiculous boxing commercial with a Series X that you can't even buy. Like, what? Like, how out of touch? You know, never mind. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. But either way, I've got an idea. And this is how you get notoriety, attention, mind share, and engagement. Hear me out. Here's my proposal. My proposal is this. You hold, like Willy Wonka, you hold a global competition, okay? Anybody with an email address can apply, okay? So what you do is you come up with 2 names. You send it out to the world and say, okay, this is what we're doing. We're having a contest to name the next gen Xbox console, PC, whatever the heck you want to call it, okay? You get 2 entries per name. So you do your email address, you put in your 2 entries, and that's all there is to it. You give it about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks. And then what you do is that once a week on YouTube, on the Xbox channel, you host a show, 15 minutes long, maybe 20 minutes, whatever, not long. And what you do is you start whittling down the names from all the possibly millions of names that you're going to get out there, put it through an AI algorithm system, I don't know, and start whittling them down to something that a lot more reasonable, like down to 1,000. And what you start doing is that you start getting the people who are watching, allow them to, like in polls or anything else like that, start voting on those names. And the ones with the most votes gets through to the next round. And then you do it on and on and on. Very much like if you look like those charts like in like Major League Baseball playoffs or the NHL playoffs, right? Or the NFL playoffs, you know, has the grid and it shows all the teams and all that stuff. And then you bring it all down until you get to the championship. You have a big show about it. You bring the 2 last contestants live in person in the studio, right there, live on YouTube or whatever. And then the final name is picked. Right? Big fanfare, big party, all that kind of stuff. The winner gets $1 million US. Give me a break, Microsoft. You're worth $4 trillion. You can afford $1 million. Okay? You paid Ninja $50 million to play Gears of War 5 for like 3 days. You could pay someone $1 million for naming the new Xbox console. Give me a break. You do that, $1 million US. You give them a console when it comes out. laser engraved with the person's name, the name of the console, the date of the competition you won. You know what I mean? Like a custom console with all that like fun stuff written on it. Because even if you don't use it at some point in the far future, it's something you could put on the shelf and say, hey, look at that. I won that competition or whatever, right? And then you give them a lifetime supply of Game Pass Ultimate. That's it. $1 million US, a custom console, Game Pass for life. You gave Stallion 83 Game Pass for life. You could do this too. And that's it. You know how many people would be all over this? Do you know how many people would be talking about Xbox? Do you know how many people would be interested? The mindshare, the takeover, the pizzazz of it? This is what I'm talking. The impact on the consumer. They are not resonating with their consumers with their marketing for years now. This is how you do it. Not just with the promise of cash, but even with the promise of excitement. Who's going to win? What's it going to be called? All the podcasts will be talking about it. Maybe not continuously, but like they'll be talking about it here and there. I think it's a fantastic idea. They'll never do it. They'll never do it. This is just something that I came up with off the top of my head. But when you're paying people 6 figures and 7-figure salaries and they can't, no pun intended, figure this out. I just did this in less than 5 minutes. Just came up with it just like that, live on the air on Monday. And of course, I fine-tuned it over the last day or so. But I literally came up with it off the top of my head, and I'm not even a marketing guy. But this is how you get people's attention. I think it's a great idea. What do you guys think? Anyways, it's never going to happen because they just don't have what it takes for great marketing. But I want you guys to do something. There's some homework for you guys. Once you watch this video, I want you to put in the chat your pick for what you would name the next gen Xbox console. I think that would be kind of fun. And then we'll look at it. And then you know what? Maybe next Madcast, we'll talk about all the names that you guys put in there. All right. So anyways, everyone have yourself a great day. Have some fun with it. Stay magnificent. And we'll talk to y'all real soon. Bye now.